Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and gamers of all ages. Welcome to Gamer Talk TV. I am your host, Mr. Tom Szydlo. With me, as per usual, are my dear friends and guests for our wonderful program, Dan Pignato and Nick Schliep. Thanks for coming, gentlemen.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome.
We are here to discuss and converse in the world of video games. Today's episode is about overrated and underrated games in video games, of course. Well, we're going to start with the underrated category because that one, in my opinion, is the more easy to point out. And to start with me, for a personal opinion, would be Custom Robo from the Nintendo GameCube is one of the most underrated games I've ever played. For those who have never played Custom Robo, the gist of it is it's a game where you can customize a robotic fighter character sort of thing. Like you can pick their style body that makes their attributes different. You get a gun, you get a bomb, you get pods, and then the legs change their style a little bit. And basically you send them into these things called Coliseums, and they're like really small little Coliseums that they can fight in. And you have to just beat the opponent's health bar down before they beat yours down.
So it's like a really pumped up version of that old TV show where they used to have the small roller robots.
Yeah,
and
but
they would just attack each other.
Yeah, but it's like a gladiator arena. Almost
That's awesome.
More so.
It's
a really fun game, and I know Nick and me have played it a lot.
I've never heard of it. I'll have to check it out now.
Yeah, if you want.
It's your recommendation.
One of only two that's ever been released in America.
Really?
All the others have only been released in Japan.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually
All right.
surprising.
How about
weird.
Nick? Let's start with you for this episode. What an underrated game?
My underrated game would have to be No More Heroes 1 and 2.
Okay. A series can count for this.
Yes, but I guess I'd say the second one because some people heard the first one, but a lot of people I know didn't even know there was a second. But basically, the main character is this guy named Travis Touchdown who, try not to do spoilers, but someone very close to him dies, and he wants to get revenge on the person who killed him. And it's him rising up the ranks because the guy he wants to get revenge on is the #1 assassin. And the thing is, it's going through the fights to get up to the top-ranked assassin because the only person who can fight him is the person directly below him. So it's him ascending the ranks. And even though they're called the assassins, they're actually more just very charismatic fighters. Like you fight one he's basically a giant brain in a jar, and he announces his grammar, when he finishes a sentence, he'll go exclamation point.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's all sorts of wacky and crazy characters, but it's also about him growing, and at the end, if he decides whether his revenge was worth it or not.
So how does he assassinate people? He's
He doesn't really assassinate.
Their term assassin is really not the way it's supposed to.
I guess it's just because it sounds cooler.
I guess you can more just say they're fighters because he goes around with essentially a lightsaber and turns people into giant bloody pulps.
That's all. Oh,
it's not for kids, obviously.
It's M-rated. Yeah, certainly.
Should you say a spoiler alert to anyone, just in case we do anything?
Yeah, spoilers for anyone who really doesn't like spoilers. Well, here, Dan, let's go
get that out of the way.
Okay, let's go to one of your favorite underrated video games.
Underrated games, I would have to say the first Mass Effect.
Really?
Game, because really, no one really played that, and the people who did play it were because the controls were really bad, but the story is so good.
The story of Mass Effect is amazing.
They work so well at BioWare. Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 is the pinnacle. That is my favorite game of all time they've done.
Yeah.
And the writing, I really compare it to this generation's Star Wars. That's how
it is
well and good I think this game is. And it's basically just about a space commander who's trying to stop this ancient race that annihilates the whole universe. And it just all your decisions matter, and that's really an amazing thing because that's one of the first first game series to do it well, really well, and every game all your decisions transfer over. And so if one person does one thing and one save and a totally another thing, those two people will have complete different experiences.
Can't you you can transfer from when you finish the first game, you could transfer what you've done to the next games, right?
That's what's great about all of them being on the same system. You can transfer each save over, which
is really, really fun.
It's amazing because you really feel connected to that character that you've spent
feel connected
years
to
building.
Don't you get to customize said character?
You do get to customize said character.
Oh boy.
customize the armor, Mass Effect 2 didn't have like weapon customization as much, but they brought it back in 3. But 1 had a really like.
Did it feel very thorough? I guess
it was thorough, but the way they did it, it was like the menus and everything were hard to like navigate.
Yeah, I got you.
Really, it's like Mass Effect 1. The gameplay wasn't there as much, but the story was so good.
2 was more of the gameplay with less of the story.
2 was really like the best. It really got everything right. Like it totally changed gameplay perspectives.
I don't know. I've been told that 3 was the best balance from what little I know about the Mass Effect.
3 was the best balance, but I would say like comparing gameplay and story together, Mass Effect 2 story was the best with the gameplay.
Nick, how about you? Let's talk a little about Mass Effect. What from your opinions of it?
I have played both the second and the third one, and actually that's exactly Dan's point. I didn't play the first one. It wasn't until the second of the series that I got interested.
Well, wasn't that because you have them on the PS3 and they didn't release the first one on PS3?
Actually, now they're doing a bundle pack where they are releasing all 3 of them.
They're doing a full trilogy.
For anyone who has a PlayStation, Xbox, there's no reason not to get these games anymore.
Mass Effect is one of the best RPGs out there, honestly.
It really is. It's such an amazing game.
All right, Nick, how about you? Sorry to cut you off, but go ahead.
Oh, it's no problem. But like you said, and what he said, the first game seemed to focus mainly on story, whilst the second game was heavily on gameplay. One of the things that was some people weren't too happy about, but there was an option in Mass Effect 3 where at the beginning of the game you were given this choice of, they asked you, do you like story more, do you like game more, or are they balanced? And if and the main difference was, I believe, if you chose that you liked story more, you had more options to affect it in your decisions, and you'd have more outcomes. And the gameplay might have been a little lighter on gunplay.
Yeah, it like automatically goes to the easiest setting, so you can literally just go through the action if you're really just there for the story. And
all right, just can you just quickly?
Oh,
what was the story one about?
The story. I
mean the game.
Well,
like,
the gameplay.
The other one was the opposite, right?
The gameplay one kind of toned down. The decisions you had to make to get to certain outcomes were a lot easier to come by.
Okay, and then the other one was as balanced as it could be.
Yeah, like for the gameplay one, all the decisions are made for you.
Yeah. All right. Now, before we get too ahead of ourselves more on Mass Effect, let's discuss games that we think are overrated. There's a game that is overhyped, overplayed, everyone thinks way too much of. I don't know if one of you two want to start it.
I guess I'll start. I have to say, it is considered one of the greatest games of our generation, BioShock 1. I got halfway through it.
Overrated, right?
For overrated, of course, overrated. And the story was good, but like people have called it like one of the greatest stories ever told. Like it's been compared to like major literature that is really sophisticated.
Really?
Yeah, like everyone loves this game except me.
A lot of people call it the Atlas Shrugged underwater.
Interesting. Yeah. How about you, Nick? A game that you consider very overrated?
A game that I consider...
Or just, you can count as a series too if you want.
A game in a series that I overrated is... I'd have to say the God of War series, because to me, unlike other games, I mean, I've played violent games before, but to that end, when I hear people going, "Oh, it's so much fun," and it's so like the combos are good and the story is good, I look at it and I see nothing but cliches.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's avenging the death of his family. He's cloaked in his family's ashes. He's destroying the very institution which set him down, and I've seen it. And there was no growth in his character, and everyone says he's one of the most manly, most interesting characters ever, but he's just so boring.
Yeah, he's literally just like. Sorry, Tom.
I hate to get this one being told to wrap up, so I'm gonna quickly end with mine, and I may be hated by some of our viewers for saying it, but in my opinion, a lot of the Call of Duty games have been very overrated.
Oh God, you're gonna get a lot.
That's gonna be.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because first-person shooters have not been my genre, but. I don't know, just the whole thing, I think it's been overplayed and overhyped, but the games are good. I'm not saying they're bad, but the games are to the point where everyone just puts them on a pedestal and says they're the best thing ever and don't question any of it just because they love it.
Like, I would say like the Treyarch ones, because they're made by two different companies, Treyarch and Infinity Ward, and Treyarch did Black Ops World at War.
Black Ops 2.
Black Ops 2, that's coming out like
it's coming out November 13th.
Something.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Promotion for an overhyped game.
Oh, wonderful.
And Infinity Ward does like the Modern Warfare series. And with the Modern Warfare series, I feel like they just don't really change things. But with the the Treyarch team actually is doing different things with their games. So I like it.
All right, unfortunately we are out of time for this episode, so I'd like to thank all of you for joining us for this wonderful topic. And for Dan and Nick, my name is Tom Szydlo. Until next we meet, keep on gaming.